my name is Dave Dixon, and I run the Bat Builder channel. I actually started it about 14 years ago, and I had a chance to be monetized by YouTube, but I declined to do it. And it really came about this one video that I had done, and I had one of my favorite artists, Joe Satriani, on it. I don't know why, I just really did not want to change it. I wanted to leave it like it was. And then I realized there was going to be a pretty big amount of time needed to run a channel. And so I think I stopped about 11 years ago. And then I've just recently, as I'm getting closer to retirement, decided to start it back up. And so I wanted to introduce myself and thank you for finding the channel. Bat Builder is the name of the channel, and it's called Bat Builder because I build Batmobiles. So this is my second one that I built, called the Tribute Rumbler. It was a tribute to the military, men and women and their families that support them. I'm a Navy veteran. My father was a Marine for over 20 years in the Marine Corps. And so initially when I had this done, I would take it to different events where we would take it there as a charity to have people come to their event. And so it was very fulfilling. So who I am, I grew up in the 70s, and I did a lot of work on hot rods. I was really into hot rods, building cars and putting engines in and rebuilding engines. That was just my real big passion. And then probably once I got started in my business, which is selling swimming pools, I also at the same time started my hobby and started building cars. So I'd always seen them on the screen, movie screen, but there's really no way that I could afford one. The only way that I could afford one was to build one myself. And I kind of thought, well, it may not be exactly the same, it may not be as nice because I just don't have that kind of budget that the movie producers have, but I'll try to do the best that I can. And so this is what I came up with. The Tribute Tumbler is scaled slightly down so that it can be street legal. It's registered in California as a specially constructed vehicle, and I have license plates for it. I had it insured at one point. I used to drive it around on the streets, but it's not really a street-friendly vehicle. Some of the things that it has on it that make it unique is a axle-less front end, where there's no axle between the two front tires. So essentially you're using your left spindle on the right-hand side and the right spindle on the left-hand side. And so by putting them like that, there's nothing connecting the wheels on the inside. It has a 500 cubic inch Cadillac engine, and that came from my grandma's car. I inherited it when she died, and it has a turbo 400 on it. I kind of went a little crazy on the 500 cubic inch Cadillac engine. I put about 10 grand into it to make it really this powerful engine. It produces about 600 horse, but I didn't really need it. I could have just stayed with the horsepower it originally had, because it does make it harder to handle. You just barely tap it. It wants to spin the rear tires. The front tires are Mickey Thompson tires. They're 22 inches wide. The back tires are TSL Super Swampers, 44 inches tall, just like the movie. It has a polished turbo 400 transmission in it. I have a shaft that, well, actually the transmission is so long that I didn't need a carrier bearing at the wall of the back of the Batmobile. I could actually just run a 22 inch drive shaft, which goes to a dually rear end. And then I did the fiberglass on it. I have a guy named Rick who agreed to do the fiberglass, and the best fiberglassing guys, I think, are guys that do boats. And so he was a boat fiberglass guy. He saw what I wanted to do, what I was trying to build, but it was so over the top for him that he told me he wouldn't do it unless I was involved with the construction. So I had to come out and work in the fiberglass, and he did tell me if I start at one corner of the car and then go all the way around to the other side, by the time I get to the other side, I'll be pretty good at fiberglassing. And so I did learn a lot about fiberglassing, and I want to share that on this channel too. I want to really go into a deep dive on my vehicle. Maybe there's guys out there that might want to build one, or they're just interested in it. I consider myself more of a fabricator in fiberglass and also welding, and definitely putting engines together. So as I go through it, I'll try to explain what I know that the original is, and then compare it to what I've done. Now, a lot of people have contacted me over the years and said, hey, can you send me a plans of those? I'd like to have a plan. Can you send me a plan? We don't really have a plan. The way we did it is we took a toy. This was back in 2005 when the movie was going on. We took a toy and we AutoCAD'd it. And then through the AutoCAD, I was able to develop patterns for all of these triangles you see on here. I took the triangles and I converted it into foam board. And then we put it together. I even pulled angles off that little toy and then used those same angles to create the angles for all of this here. And it was very meticulous, took a long time. We actually did one side. And then once you do one side, the hardest part on these cars is to mirror that side with the other side. So it's pretty close, in terms of being mirrored on it. I've been a big Batman fan forever. I like the idea that he doesn't have superpowers. He's just a regular guy with some really cool tools and some cool cars. And my goal is to do a step-by-step of how I did this. I'll be pulling off some of these panels and we'll go through how the steering mechanism works. So this is really geared for gearheads, people that are interested in that. I have I have other builds that I'm doing. My first car was actually the '89 Batmobile, and I'll try to put a picture of it in this video. And then I also have a Bat Pod, which is kind of like the motorcycle. I call mine the Bat Attack. And then I came up with a concept car. As I was on websites and I was talking to different people, we really came to the conclusion that you couldn't make that motorcycle the way it was shown in the movie, where the two wheels are going like a car and then they flip out and they start to turn in such a way that it turns into a motorcycle. So my concept Bat Pod, which is called the Big Kahuna, would be the two wheels on the front, the motorcycles down the middle, and then there's a third wheel at the back. It's called a reverse trike. And so I actually was able to build that, had a lot of satisfaction in completing a concept idea that I had in my mind. And I have that vehicle still, so I'm gonna bring it out so we'll be able to go through it. But the first thing we're gonna go through is my replica tumbler, which I call it the Tribute Rumbler. I just thought it looked pretty cool to say Rumbler instead of Tumbler. Plus I don't want to copy their name. So it's a replica tumbler, or you could call it a Tribute Rumbler. And so I want to do a deep dive on this one first. And I do have some parts, extra parts that I had left over. I may try to market those, and any money that I get from it would go to donations. I am gonna focus for the monetization, but I'm not as concerned about that. It's just is just to create a community of people maybe that are doing this, that might have some questions. People that are just looking at it, they're kind of interested and they think it's kind of cool. And you will be able to ask me questions. I'll try to answer them. And then if it's a good question, I may use it in an additional video. I have two other YouTube channels that I started. This one here has actually been going for 14 years, so I'm resurrecting that one. And then another channel that I have is called California pool designer because I am a designer of swimming pools. And then the third channel I have would be California Dreamin', which is more about finance and talking about savings and what I've done in terms of investments. I have a degree in economics, so that's where that came from. The pool designer thing comes from 40 years of designing pools, and the company I work for, I started with them 28 years ago. And then this is my other niche, which is my building Batmobiles. So thank you for finding me. I welcome you to come along. I hope you subscribe. We can create a community together where we can ask questions, and I will try to answer what I can. And I do appreciate you coming and joining my tribe. Thank you very much, and have a great day.